Hi, welcome to the video introducing you to Human Reliability's Human Factors Safety Critical Task Analysis course. Now this course has been going for a long time. Before it went online, it was being taught by my colleagues at Human Reliability for many years, and in May 2020 we moved it online, revised it, added some bits, and since then about 200 people have gone through it from various regions throughout the world, which we'll go into a bit later. But really this video is to give you a bit of insight into drivers for doing the course, who does it, have a look inside and how it's organised, to give you a better idea about whether you or some of your colleagues might want to do it or not. Okay, so I'll just get rid of myself there and we'll move on. So from an organisational point of view, a big driver is compliance with regulations. Particularly here in the UK, this is probably the largest group that does the course, given our location, etc. But the COMA regulations mean that upper and lower tier sites have to demonstrate that they've attended to human factors. Safety critical task analysis is a critical part of topic 1 in the human factors delivery guide for COMA sites. So when the HSC visits, one of the first things they might look at might be how the safety critical task analysis program has been set up and how it's being delivered. So this course can help you comply with those sorts of regulations. Other regions around the world which seem to be moving in a similar direction include Singapore, Brazil, and we're getting increasing interest from those parts. But it's not limited to those parts. We've taught people from many regions outside of places where there aren't these sorts of regulations. There might be a near miss or an accident which has led to an organisation to review how they manage human performance, and a course like this might give them better insight as to how they can move beyond sort of blaming and training people, and recommending new procedures and extra checks. So this can really give you a really deep analysis of a critical task or a task, what could go wrong and how to reduce risks. There might not be a particular acute trigger. There might be an ongoing problem. Maybe staff are perceived as not really complying with procedures. They might be engaged in what is seen to be risky behaviour, and actually a course like this can give you insight into some of the deeper issues that might be going on beyond individual behaviour, looking at the system and the discrepancies between workers imagined and workers done. And organisations, as I said before, might be outside regulatory pressures, might just be interested in best practices and how to stay ahead of the game in terms of managing human performance effectively for production and safety gains. From an individual's point of view, people are really, I think, interested in investing in a transformation. They want something to change, so generally being new to safety critical task analysis and moving into a space where they can start to do their own studies, have appropriate skills and knowledge and methodology to conduct their first SCTA studies. Some people won't be wanting to do the SCTA studies themselves. They might want to acquire what's been referred to as an intelligent customer capability. So they've got the right knowledge around SCTA studies, so when they organise that, manage that, procure that from other third parties, they can sort of assess the quality, know that a good job is being done, and this course can help there. People might also more generally be new to human factors. This course gives really good grounding in human factors for process safety and loss prevention. Many engineers, are very competent in the technical aspects of where they specialise, but they're less familiar with how to manage and organise the human element to do with the safety of the task. And then this gives you not only a better grounding and idea, but also a practical approach to follow. So it's a really good basis there. As I said before, we have a lot of interest from upper and lower tier coma sites in the UK, and this is the first topic in the Human Factors Delivery Guide. So where there is regulatory attention, we find that quite often it's in this region rather than the other topic areas. And of course, when you find more out about these topic areas, quite a lot of them relate back to topic 1, which is managing human performance capability. We have people on the course that want the skills and knowledge to run their first SCTA studies. Some people might have done SCTA studies already and be wanting to mature their processes. So it's worth realising that there's lots of different ways of carrying out and conducting SCTA studies. What we do in our course is really deliver you what we think is best practice and a process that we've developed and evolved, matured over many decades at Human Reliability. We have people on the course that pick up lots of hints and tips that have done SCTA studies already. So you're in a good place to learn more about that. Intelligent customer capability we've already referred to. And we have people on the course that are sometimes in larger companies, have multiple sites. They might be in some central corporate function. So they might be looking to review what's best practice and what their company can gain by using these processes. And that can be across multiple regions that we can help with. And being online as well, that's given us much greater reach now, rather than doing a face-to-face course. And so I'm very briefly going to go into what SCTA is, and this will give you a flavour of what's covered on the course as well. So SCTA, Safety Critical Task Analysis, sometimes called Human Factors Critical Task Review and other related names. But it's a methodology, and the core of it captures these 3 elements. There's a systematic task analysis that we must do. We teach hierarchical task analysis, and we actually spend quite a chunk of time on the course going through this, covering the foundation of how to do it, giving you practice to scaffold up your skills, giving you feedback and coaching. So this is really important to get right the structure, the level of granularity, and then we can move on to the other elements. Once we've got a good understanding of the task analysis, we'll move on to failure and PIF analysis. So the human failure analysis, this is where we consider different failure modes at different task steps. So we anticipate what could go wrong. It's a little bit like a human HAZOP, so we have different guide words to go through, and we can see what the consequences of these different failures might be. These potential human failures are influenced by different factors, which we call PIFs, performance influencing factors. Getting a good understanding of them in context is essential, so it's part of the risk management process. So once we do these core elements, we have a good idea of the task and how it's done. We have a good idea of the potential failures and also the factors influencing those failures. So that this is really the bulk of the course, getting this right. Now, out of this process, once we have a good understanding of the different types of failures and the factors influencing them, we can think about design and engineering solutions, kind of like the hierarchy of control. How can we sort of eliminate some of these risks or greatly reduce them? And we can also look at the management of these factors. So how can we improve them so people are less likely to do the wrong thing and more likely to do the right thing? So say we're really concerned about confusing 2 connection points. Well, from the design and engineering perspective, we might get rid of one of them to make that confusion impossible. We might make the connections different or move or separate them. In terms of the management of PIFs, we might label them appropriately so people can, really see the difference and reduce the chance of them being confused. Make sure that they're accessible, improve lighting and things like that, if that is a problem. So that's the sort of thing we might look at there. A little bit less tangible, but it's also important to realise that there's the opportunity for organisational learning in the process of doing this. So in doing this sort of analysis, we're going to be getting together people from management, engineering and frontline staff. Quite often they don't have the opportunity to talk about a critical task in a lot of detail through this methodology. And so there will be some learning both ways in terms of how the task should be done and how it's actually done in practice. People might share challenges, might share knowledge about safe behaviours, and so there's an opportunity for organisational learning as well from this process. On the course, we'll show you not only how to write this up in a report, but we'll also show you how to move on from the SCTA study, because all of this good work that we've done here can help us write new, improved risk-informed procedures. And also, if there's anything to be used in hand, that is a short version of this, like a checklist or job aid, and that there's various considerations there. And also looking at competency management, so developing things like training aids. So from this process, we'll have a better understanding of work as done, so through the task analysis. We'll know where the critical steps are, the things we're really worried about going wrong, and the factors influencing that. So we can actually go through the critical steps and ensure that we have the right knowledge and skill requirements noted for each one, so people can be tested on those critical steps and signed off that they're qualified to conduct this critical task. So that's really what we cover mainly on the course, and a definite focus in that core area in the middle there. Now, the great thing about this in terms of human performance perspective is we're really looking at the design of things in context to shape behaviour and reduce the risk of error. So that's in a way knowledge in the world. It's how we design the workplace and where people work in. So that's really important to get right. We're redesigning the procedures and job aids. So that's knowledge in the hand. And then we have knowledge in the head, which is the training. So the idea is that we optimise all these three things, and we're really improving the chance of success and reducing the chance of failure. Now I'm going to have a quick look inside the course and show you what we actually do to cover all of this. Now the course is structured around these live webinar sessions. So we've got 6 of them, A, B, C, D, E and F. Now between the webinar sessions there's modules to work through. At the beginning of the course this is largely individual, but as we go through the course you'll see highlighted in blue here there's group work activities where we have assignments where you can work on task analysis and failure and PIF analysis. So generally there's about 3 hours of work to do between the webinars. In the webinars that are about an hour and a half, we'll get together as a class. We'll talk about what we've just gone through and learned. We'll review things, have a discussion. These really work well where we're moving on to the task analysis and failure and PIF analysis, because you'll actually share your screens and we'll go through and coach live, so we can all learn as a group, and we give plenty of written feedback as well. So just note there that there's this work to do in between the webinars, and good discussion in the webinars to learn as we're going along. This course we offer across a week, which is the intensive course, or there's an extended course where this is done over a number of weeks, so 3 to 5 weeks, so roughly a month. So that just gives you a bit more time to do this work between the webinars. But if you download the course brochure, then that describes all of that for you. Okay, so we have a kick-off webinar, and then you'll be asked to do work through modules 1 to 3. This really gives you good context setting, background, introduction to the SCTA methodology, introduction to human factors for process safety. You'll review a real-life incident. We've got a video, and you'll be asked to make various observations from a human factors perspective, which we'll discuss as a group. And you'll learn about the psychology of human failure, so those different error types, if you've heard of them before, so slips, lapses, mistakes, and issues of non-compliance, and we'll discuss that as well. But this is a really good start to start us on the road to learning SCTA. Module 4, we'll dive into task analysis, so we'll give you the foundations for how to conduct this and what the different elements are and why it's organised in this way. We'll then quickly move on to you actually doing some task analysis. First of all, very simple task analyses. Give you some feedback. We'll do a more complicated one, or you'll do a more complicated one as a group, and then we'll give you further feedback there. This will set you up well for moving on to an industrial case study. So we're using a road tanker offloading task here, and you'll import procedures into task analysis and be able to edit that, and we'll give you feedback. So there's plenty of practice and exercise there. Now, using that same case study, we'll move on to the foundations of failure and PIF analysis. So again, good foundation as to what it is, why we do it, and the structure. We'll then use a tool for doing this in practice, and you'll have a go. We'll give you lots of feedback in the webinar and written feedback as to what to look out for when you're doing failure and PIF analysis, in terms of doing a good quality analysis and where the pitfalls and where people might trip up. But this again will give you real life practice and the sort of thing we do when we're doing our own consultancy work. Now, towards the back end of the course, we'll be looking at giving you tips on running workshops and walkthroughs. Of course, the safety critical task analysis process isn't a desktop exercise. We want to be talking to the right people in workshops about the critical task, learning about it, the challenges, what could go wrong, really engaging with that expertise, and also doing observations and walkthroughs. So there's tips on getting the most out of those. And then finally showing you how to write up these SCTA reports, considerations to do with procedure development from SCTA studies, and then coming up with training standards and training aids from SCTA studies, as we're building up that sort of suite of interventions there. So it's a really thorough course. This isn't the sort of course to sit back and just have things sort of wash over you. There's lots of engagement. There's opportunity for discussions. There's group work, live feedback, and we do detailed written feedback as well. And as I said before, this can be done in an intensive manner or done more extended as well, depending on how your timetable's fixed and your preferences there. But it is important to realise that there are things, about 3 hours of work in between the webinars. The course is accredited by the Chartered Institute of Ergonomics and Human Factors, so that's got good standing there and important for people, especially where the HSE might have recommended people do a course with this sort of accreditation in this area. To complement the main course, we've got a number of bonuses. There's a video that we show during the course with Dr. David Embry, Managing Director of Human Reliability. This is a video from the BBC that he made, or appears in, with James Reason. It was made quite a while ago now, but the science behind it has stood the test of time, really. We've got 3 bonus webinars. So Jamie Henderson, one of our most experienced consultants, talks about critical task identification and prioritization. So basically, the SCTA process, we're analysing a critical task. Jamie talks about how to identify what tasks to look at and in what order. So this is really important for companies to understand. So he goes into a lot of detail there, and there's a methodological process to follow, which makes things easier. David talks about the Sherpa tool in more detail, looks at rating, PIFs, quantification and incident analysis. And Richard talks about embedding the SCTA methodology in organisations, as he's got experience of doing this at a large refinery in the UK. So there's really good material there to learn from. So if you're interested in the course, there's basically 3 easy steps to find out more and to book if you're interested. Visit our website at the Human Reliability Academy. You'll find the course card here, Human Factors Safety Critical Task Analysis course. So you can click on that, and that'll open up a page with lots of detail. In that page, that'll allow you to download the course brochure. So the course brochure's got all the details that you might want to review in thinking about the course. At the back of the course brochure, you'll find the latest course fees, discounts, and the dates that are coming up for the course. So have a look and see what suits you. Once you've got the dates in mind, and that these dates might not be relevant, so do check the brochure for the latest dates. And basically we offer them, we try and do 2 a quarter, 1 intensive and 1 extended, and they're for different time zones as well. So it might be suitable for sort of North and South America versus Asia Pacific regions. So have a look what might suit you. But once you know who might be doing the course and when you'd like to do it, then email Lydia or myself, and we'll be able to check that for you and get a provisional booking in place. We'll send you a training proposal, so you can either pay that by card or raise a purchase order against it, just to process that. So that's a quick tour of the video, and a quick tour of the course and what's inside. Hopefully that's given you a bit better insight into the course. Do get in touch with us if you've got any questions, but hopefully we look forward to seeing you or some of your colleagues on the course in the near future. Okay, thanks, bye.